I'm talking to people who want to build an extraordinary life. That requires intention, that requires a vision, that requires a strategy, that requires you to intentionally get rid of distractions, celebrate the moments, because almost everything you work on is long term and maybe even beyond your life, what you leave behind. And there's a purpose that needs to connect to that connects to your vision. I even did that in my business. And here's what I look like in my business. I had no plans whatsoever. I would wake up, and this is the first year of my business kind of looked like this, a version of this. I would go to my email, and I'd be like, is anybody reaching out to me who are interested in my program? Our topic today is own the day, own your life. And I'll start this with a once upon a time story. Once upon a time, and I'll point to myself first. There was a time where I would wake up in the morning, I'd be like, what am I doing today? What should I do today? What am I focused on? Or I wouldn't even ask it. I would kind of float through the day or through the week. And my thought process in the background was, and I had certain desires and dreams and wants and so many things that I wanted to create in my life. So there was a hope in the background, and I don't have anything against hope. And the hope and the wish was that I wish that thing would happen. I even did that in my business. And here's what I look like in my business. I had no plans whatsoever. I would wake up, and this is the first year of my business kind of looked like this, a version of this. I would go to my email, and I'd be like, is anybody reaching out to me who are interested in my program? I don't do that anymore, and I've been in business for a while, and that's what I want to go into. And the starting point of the owning your day, and that's the framework I want to go with, is that our average days define our life. We often, and we do this with all kinds of things. We do this in our works. Like, when I get that perfect day, when I get that perfect week, I'm going to do everything that I plan to do. We do that with our relationships. Like, when I go on vacation, I'll be fully present. We're not even present on the vacation. But the thing is, your life is made up of ordinary moments that you get to choose to make extraordinary. It's not those big moments that matter. It's actually the little by little moments. And I don't claim to be perfect in this area, but what I would claim is that over the past few years, as I've become more intentional and strategic, I use my time better and better, and I think about my days. And as long as my days go closer to that ideal that I have for the ideal day that I want, that connects to, and this is what I want to talk about. The first point is that connects to my vision and strategy. Those days tend to go very well. What does that mean? That means I don't wake up every day hoping that things would go well. I already have a vision long term. Here's what I want to create, not what I wish. If I wanted to wish, I would just pray for it and wish something would happen. Those are all outside of my control. When I say a vision, it's that, hey, this is what I'm going to create. A huge part of that is in my control. The things that are not in my control, the outcomes, I don't care about it. I'm like, this is what I want to go towards. This is the kind of person I want to become. These are the things that I want to build in my life. These are the places that I want to be. These are the kind of businesses I want to create. This is the kind of family I want to create. This is the kind of person I want to be. This is how I want my body to look like. So my efforts and my day-to-day, week-to-week is aligned with that vision. And that's why there's the second piece, which I come from an engineering background. I don't just believe in an airy-fairy vision, which is, okay, I have a declaration that I want these things, but then I need a strategy. I need a plan. So I don't do things without a plan, which means that it needs to go on my calendar. I need to have a process for it. It needs to be consistent enough for it to happen. Anything worth doing requires a long time of consistency. That's whether or not. So if you, for example, something simple as going to the gym, you can go day after day after day and you will not see any results other than you will feel a little bit better, but you will not see it in your body. It will not show to others. Nobody will see. You can show up in your business day after day after day and you will not see any results. You can show up in your relationships, put every effort in the world. You will not see the results after weeks, months. But anything worth doing is like that. So there's a system you put in place, and the hope, or and I look at it from a cause and effect point of view, not just a hope, is that, hey, for example, I look at money as an effect of the work that you've done in your business. I don't have control over when the money comes, but I do have control over how my system is, what my sales process is, what my marketing process is, who do I reach out to, how consistent am I in my sales process, how refined is my sales process, my customer journey, how do I serve all those are in my control. That requires a system in place. So that's why we have strategy. So vision comes with strategy. Without that, nothing works. That is the starting point of owning your day. So I even have a little bit of a problem. I like it as a starting point when a lot of the trainers say, well, plan a night before. I don't actually plan a night before. I actually just look at my long-term and short-term plan that I've already built a night or 2 days before. I'm constantly looking at my plans throughout the day. And I actually look at that as, and I'll talk about distractions in a bit, but if I'm going to be on my phone, I'd rather go look at my calendar. Rather look at my projects. I'd rather look at my plans. I'd rather look at my lists. I'd rather look at who I need to reach out. Those are my I want my mind to remember those things more than anything else. Am I distracted at times? Of course, I'm a human being. I will go on. I love some funny videos that I watch once in a while. I send those to other people. Because I give that as a dose of, because I send too many serious things to people around me, so I'll send a funny video along with it. Like, I do watch some other stuff too, but I can get distracted too. But then it is within I give enough room for myself, which is a little bit of room outside of the things that I'm committing to do, which I look at as enjoyment, like it's satisfaction in the moment, but it's not all of it. I look at it as salt sprinkled, but most people's dish is all salt, which is all distraction, which I'll talk about in a bit. So when you have your vision, you have your strategy, you have already set a clear strategy for yourself to move forward. So this makes the second piece very important to own your day, which is boundaries. Most people have no idea how to set boundaries. And the reason for that is because 90% of the work of boundaries is actually your vision and strategy. Once you have a long-term vision, short-term vision, you have a plan for it, you have you've set up a calendar system, you have a routine. If anybody reaches out to you that's outside of that, your automatic response would be, let me take a look at my calendar. Let me take a look at when I'm available. There's no conflict resolution. There's no emotions needed. It's like, let me take a look. Well, I can't do it on this day because I have a couple of things. Even if it's a meeting with yourself, which you can put on your calendar to plan out stuff, you can put it in there. But it's hard to honor that for most people because they don't have a long-term plan. So then I think 90% of the work of the boundaries is that. The rest is in the beginning, forcing yourself to sit down and actually start, because it's hard. For example, starting a workout routine is very hard. It will take you a few days to a few weeks for it to become a normal thing. Some people say 21 days. I think it's a random number. I don't think it's the case. It's different for different people. But if you've done it for a longer period of time, in my experience, about 3 to 6 months. For example, if I've gone to gym consistently 6 months, it will be hard. If I miss it 2-3 days, my body is going to tell me something is off. Nobody needs to keep me accountable to that because my system knows it already. I don't need outside accountability a lot of times. Even when I miss it for a week, I can make myself go back to it because I know the experience of it. Nobody needs to tell me that. For most people, they haven't forced themselves to try something for a long enough time to see the actual benefits of it, the actual effects of it. Same thing with business. Well, why don't people stick to business when they do that? Why don't people stick to outreaches? Why do people get up? Because most of the outcomes in business are longer term. They could be, you're working on a deal, it could be 3 months to 6 months to even 1 year. If I'm working, well, for example, if I'm working on a deal with a bigger organization, that could be a 1-year process for me. That could be a 100K, 200K project, but that could be a long process of putting effort in. And I'll talk about what are ways that you can do this at the end of this training, where you don't have to wait for that big outcome. But for that to come to fruition, you need to have a system in place. So that system based on your vision, based on your strategy, consistently moves you forward, and it's enjoyable for you to move forward consistently. And that's actually, I was going to share this at the end. This works out better with the flow. So that's where celebrations come in. Celebrations are an important piece of this because most, like I said, most outcomes, big outcomes, are longer term. You will feel it longer term. Most people give up because they don't celebrate the process. They don't enjoy the process of what they're doing. I enjoy for example, I'll go to simple things like workout in the morning because you know what I do? I listen to the books that I love. I listen to podcasts that I love. I will listen to the trainings that I love that I can implement. Sometimes I'll listen to music if I want to, but most of the time I'm listening to an audiobook, a training, a lecture, something like it's so enjoyable for me. I have to kind of take myself away from my workout. I was like, okay, I gotta stop. I gotta head back to home. Sometimes I have to force. It's not because of the workout. It's actually because of the knowledge that I'm getting. But that's my incentive. What is your incentive? Maybe that's working with other people, working out with other people. Maybe it's the kind of workout that you're doing. My workouts are also things that I enjoy. I do them in a specific way. I'll share a quick story around this. So I took one of my family members. He actually, the good thing is he started working out because of that workout that we did together. But when he worked out with me, he hated it. And you know why he hated it? Because I don't stay with one workout. I will do 2 or 3 workouts together. That's just how my mind works. I enjoy it that way. I enjoy the variety in working out. I switch the muscles, but his mind was more straightforward. Is like, hey, we're doing this, let's do this. He couldn't make sense of how I was doing. Like, why are you doing that one? Why are you doing this one at the same? I'm like, that's how I like working out. After that, he's like, I'm not working out with you, but I think I got enough motivation to get started with you. He's never come back to the gym with me, but I check in with him often. He goes out to work out quite a bit. But either way, so little small celebrations can go a long way. This is the reason why in this community I always ask for a win. It's not a random thing. It trains your mind to recognize that you're actually growing and learning and building yourself up every step of the way. And Scott, you shared that like this is a learning process for you to raise this capital. Like celebrating every step of it will help you understand how the professional side of it on the other side works. Same thing with all kinds of things in our life. Like if you're always, for example, waiting for a big vacation, you're not living your day, you're not celebrating the little things in your life, life will be very mundane and can get very boring. I like celebrating every little thing. My coffee is a celebration. I love cold water in summer days, and just when I put the ice and just drinking that, I'm like, that's beautiful. Like how many people had, and I was just talking to my brother-in-law the other day, actually this morning, and we're like, if you really think about it, we live like kings in the Middle Ages, better than kings in the Middle Ages. The kings with big castles in the Middle Ages, what did they have? They had access to good food, servants, and all kinds of stuff. But we actually have access to better food, more variety. We don't have the diseases they had to deal with. we have more security. We can travel to a lot of places a lot faster than they could. We have access to better healthcare than they ever did. Now think about it. We live like kings just a few hundred years ago. People, 99% of the people would want to live like them, but most people don't appreciate it, at least in the Western world. And that's powerful. Like not celebrating that is, I would say, it's a tragedy for many of us. And last one, I'll talk about distractions, which I kind of referred to. Distractions, and that can show up in all sorts of forms. Like the obvious ones are our phone can be a distraction, our other people can be a distraction at times, even our repetitive work that we do can be a distraction at times. Work that doesn't feel aligned with what matters to us, or work where we're kind of half-assing it. We're kind of half focused on what we're doing and it doesn't really matter to us. And I get it, those of us who are in jobs, and it's your responsibility to carry that forward. But you can also bring purpose into that. You can also bring some level of purpose, saying that, hey, I'm doing this because it's going to take me to the next level. It's the medium I need to go through. It doesn't have to be all enjoyable, but there are distractions that show up in other ways. A lot of distractions is actually not being clear on your path, not having a plan. And I look at distractions as viruses in your system. the tighter your system is. Think of like place where viruses cannot get in. Think of like a CDC center with, I know it's a bad analogy, but CDC center where no viruses can get in, even though they have gotten viruses in there. But let's imagine the ideal version of that. But your system and plan and vision is the thing that keeps distractions away. That means, for example, your phone, turn off your notifications. That's part of your system. Tell people, communicate to people that this is your work time. Let people know why it's important for you to do this. This is why even part of our planning process, there's vision, there's strategic goal setting, and there's communicating your vision. If you're not communicating the vision, those around you, they have no idea what the hell's going on. By the way, husbands are horrible at this process. They assume just because they're at work, people know what they're doing. Or most people who are very professionally oriented are like that. They do their thing and they think that most people understand what they're doing. All it looks like is they just love their work. That means you value that more than your family and other things. But no, you're doing that for that. Most people don't understand that because you're not communicating that. So and this is one of the biggest tragedies that I've seen in people, like somebody who's trying to focus on work for their family, for their community, but they constantly feel guilty that they're doing that. Like, why do you think you're guilty? It's like, because that person is thinking that, oh, I'm missing out on the family, or they will go with their family and they're like, I'm missing out on work. They're on neither side because they're distracted. So they've concluded that my family is a distraction, my work is a distraction in both sides. Versus if you had a vision, if you had a plan, if you had a system in place and you're communicating that and you're focused in that moment. For example, when I'm here, I have a lot of things going on outside, but this is what matters to me the most right now. And that is, as much as is common sense, most people don't do that. They're half-assing every part of their life. When they're with their family, all they're thinking about is the worries about finances, business, and all that stuff. When they're at work, they're thinking about, well, what's going on with my family? What's going on with that? And what did I say to this person? Which maybe I should have done this in that way. Maybe I should have been more present there. Well, that's because we're not showing up intentionally. And so our system is a distracted system. So when other things like your phone is in front of you, and I look at that as an effect, the reason why people jump into their phone, I play around with my family and friends sometimes. I'm like, well, let me time you. Let me see when is going to be the next time you're going to pick up your phone. And I can tell you within 2 minutes, without reason, they will just pick up their phone. I don't like keeping my phone beside me a lot of times. A lot of times so I was being made fun of because my watch locates my phone because I lose my phone all the time. I was like, we're sick of listening to your ringer to look for the phone. It's like, just put, I like that. I like the fact that I don't know where my phone is. But a lot of people pick it up because they don't have any focus. So of course they're going to mindlessly go towards the thing or something else, or a TikTok video, or they will turn on TV, or they will sit down with a person because they have no agenda whatsoever in their life. That leads to a less than ordinary life. And again, I'm talking to people who want to build an extraordinary life. That requires intention, that requires vision, that requires a strategy, that requires you to intentionally get rid of distractions, celebrate the moments, because almost everything you work on is long-term and maybe even beyond your life, what you leave behind. And there's a purpose that needs to connect to that connects to your vision. There's little celebrations that need to be created along the way. And the boundaries need to be created for you to actually do the work that matters to you, or even be with the people that matter to you versus being distracted in either places. If you enjoyed that video, make sure you click on this video or this video. It will serve you to move your growth journey forward. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.